Hey guys, in this video we'll be covering how to hook up this React and Redux JWT Auth client app with this .NET Core 3.1 backend API. I won't be going into the details of how the code structured in this video, other than a small change to the front-end app to hook it up with the API, but all of the code is covered in detail for both of the projects in these tutorials that I'll link to in the video description below. Before starting development, you should have your development environment set up to support developing React apps and .NET Core apps. If you don't have that done yet, you can follow this link from the React tutorial, which shows you details of what you need to do to set up a React development environment. And over here on the .NET Core app, there's a link here for another post that shows you how to set up a .NET Core development environment and some brief details there about the tools that you need to do that. Once you've got your development machine set up, we can start by setting up, downloading and running the API on our local machine. So we'll start with these steps here. First, we'll jump over to GitHub and copy the GitHub repo URL for the API project with this button here. Then open up a command window. And for simplicity, I'll do this in the downloads folder of this machine. And to clone the project, use the command git clone and paste the URL to that repo. Alright, that project's now cloned. I can CD into the project folder and then jump back over to the post to see what the next step was. So you start the API using the .NET CLI with the run command. .NET and run, enter. Now we can see that the API is now up and running and listening on port 4000. That's all you need to do to start the .NET Core API. Alright, let's jump back over to the front-end app. Alright, these are the instructions for running the React and Redux app locally. We don't need to do step 1 because we already have Node and npm installed. The second step, just like the .NET Core API, is to get the code from GitHub. So I'll follow the same process. Copy the repo URL, open up, because this command window is running the API, I'll open up a new command window. And again, I'll navigate into the downloads folder and git clone the React project and CD into that project folder and see what we need to do next. Alright, so installing all of the required npm packages by running npm install. Npm, you can use npm I, which is a shortcut for npm install. That's all of our packages that have been installed now. The last step is to start the application, but before I do that, I'll open it up in VS Code because there's a small change I need to make to point it at our .NET Core backend, because by default the React app runs with a fake backend, so it can run without a real API. So I can open up the project in Visual Studio Code by typing the code command and then passing the current directory with a dot. And then opening up our index.jsx file, we can see here these two lines are where we set up our fake backend. So I'll just remove those lines and save that. And I'll just show you quickly that in our webpack config is where the API URL is set to localhost 4000, which, as you recall, is where our .NET Core API is listening on. So that's where our React application will be sending requests. So if I go back to the React app console and type npm start to start our React application. That's our application running locally on the Webpack dev server. It's fairly simple, just a login page with a hard-coded user with the username and password test and test that's preset in the .NET Core API. I'll open up the browser DevTools so we can see the requests going to the API. Test, login. And we can see our authenticate request. We don't need to save that username and password. And our request has been sent. First, the URL has gone to localhost 4000, users authenticate, and it passed the username and password test and test. And the response has received the basic user details, and this is the important part, a JWT token in the token property. The React app in the home component has then made a second request, as it has labeled here. It's fetched the users from the API, which at the moment there is only a single user in the API, but it's from a secure API endpoint. So that's this second request here. So this request is secure on the API. It requires a valid JWT token. So you can see in the request headers here that this bearer token contains the JWT token that was returned in the authenticate request, which is why that request was successful and returned our array of users, which just contains, as I said, the one test user for now. Okay, that's how you hook up this React and this .NET Core 3.1 API. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you did, please like or subscribe below. All right, cheers.